having me today. How I've structured this presentation is that I'm kind of I have some slides that are based on the handout that I've given, and so if I don't get time to talk about it, you have a handout to refer back on, and I'll have time for you to ask questions along the way too. So a little bit about me. I was diagnosed with high functioning autism at the age of 3. My mum picked it up on me very much earlier on, however, she was pretty much told that it was a problem with the parent and not the child. I love drawing, art, anything to do with music. Love horses, they're one of my biggest obsessions. And I'm currently in Year 12 and I'm studying biology, chemistry and maths methods. So I hope today I'll be able to share a few of my insights and help you understand your ASD students a bit better. I thought I'd just share my perspective of autism. I do see it as a difficulty and not a disability, just because I feel like there's so many stories out there and everyone views it a bit differently, and it's not really fair to just narrow it down to one viewpoint. It affects how we see the world around us. Often our perceptions of the world are very different to what it actually is. It influences how we interact with other people, and of course, it's not a linear spectrum. It's not a one-size-fits-all system. So all the things I'll be talking about today may not apply to every student. I thought I'd put this up about high-functioning and low-functioning autism. Adam Walton is someone that I've been following for a while, and he's got Asperger's, and he talked about some of the issues around the mild autism and high-functioning, low-functioning levels. I feel like it's, again, because it's not a linear system, it's a bit difficult to narrow it down to those two terms. This is one of my favourite depictions of the spectrum. There's a colour spectrum, and we each have our different strengths in all these areas that may come in different colours, but we're not all the same. I wanted to talk about some of the differences between male and female profiles today. This is based on my experiences. I really didn't meet any other female autistic individual until I was 13, and throughout primary school I was part of this sort of special needs program, I guess you'd call it, where I had life skills programs and things, and there'd be about 20 boys and I was the only girl. And often they would differ in their views to me, and I would it was a bit confusing for me growing up with these different thoughts, and not always people coming up to me saying, "You don't look autistic," and I'm going, "Oh, okay, thanks." So I've just listed a couple of things here which I've noticed as some of the viewpoints, and we do definitely share characteristics, but because it's fairly new research when it comes to girls. We're only really learning now that girls present differently in boys, and I think this is really important because a lot of girls don't get diagnosed until later on in life, and they get diagnosed with other things such as ADHD and OCD, but they never really answers the questions for them. So definitely here, being able to understand that it really helps us. And so sometimes a lot of the questions I get from teachers is, "Oh, this kid's being bossy. They're being bossy in class and they're just rude." And I went, well, what's going on in the classroom to cause that behaviour? Because it's often as a result of another stimulus in the classroom that's causing that anxiety, which I'll get onto later on. Special interests. I was thinking about this a bit, and I was thinking to myself, why is it that ASD individuals often have such bizarre interests? And I thought about myself, and I thought, when I was younger, my big things were cranes and plumbing. So I'd go to houses and say to the person, "Your plumbing needs to be fixed. This pipe's not right." And I was thinking about it, and I asked my mum, why is it that I did that? Like, why was it that these mechanical objects attracted me so much now? looking at me now and thinking, well, I'm not really bent that way anymore. And then I thought, hang on, it engaged my love of detail and consistency. It was something that I would be able to pick up in every environment. It gave me something to focus on too if I was getting stressed. I also did it as a form of conversation. Sometimes it was my way of communicating with people, even though it probably wasn't the best way, pointing out what's wrong with the piping system, but it did give me a point of connection with the other person. For girls, and I was a huge Disney fan, I love Disney. My mum gave me this photo and it's me as Snow White, and apparently I used to line them up in bed every day and they had to be in the right order, a particular order, and I was Snow White. So Snow White was my big thing, and I still love Disney. And a lot of girls on the spectrum now love Disney too. I also found that when I was in my teens, Harry Potter was a big source of inspiration for me in learning social cues, and because they talked a lot about, you know, sort of teenage stuff that I didn't quite get at that stage. And Hermione was a big character that I related to, the fact that she is a bit of a know-it-all and always is eager in class, and I thought, that's me. and some of the things, these are kind of individuals that people have got, a lot of autistic individuals relate to, even speculate that they might be on the spectrum themselves. Data and Spock from Star Trek are often ones you hear, because they are kind of misunderstood in their universe. They don't really fit in, but they want to connect. And Data and Spock both love cats, and because they were kind of on the same level as them in a way, and much easier to deal with than people. Trading card games like Magic the Gathering even have autistic characters. That character Narset, rumoured to be autistic herself, and a lot of individuals have found comfort in seeing these fictional characters represented. Say for Pearl and Steven Universe, there's been a lot of women who've said that she's also on the spectrum. Some of them also love being immersed in another world, you know, that idea of just escaping. And these special interests can definitely be used in the classroom to learn. Often they can relate to these characters strongly, and that can help engage them in the classroom. If they, for example, think, what's the point of this? You know, and you're trying to link them to, you know, a particular theme, because we don't generalise. So it could help them engage in the work. I put these summaries in so you can ask questions. And do you have any questions so far? No? Cool, I'm doing okay then. Some of the traits I'll be talking about today includes anxiety, socialisation issues, organisation, sensory issues, and order and change. They're based on the Venn diagram is the DSM-5, the two main categories of the DSM-5. And so we'll cover that more. I thought I'd bring up stimming, because stimming is something that I get asked by teachers a lot. You know, this child tends to spin in my class, and is that a good thing? Why are they doing it? And I did a bit of reflection myself, and that's me at about 10 or 11. And what I used to do is I used to finger flick, and I would create these characters, and I put, that's supposed to be outfits. They're just tissues, I realise now. But they were elaborate outfits in my mind, and I would talk to them. Another thing I used to do when I was a toddler was get leaves and grass and just look at them. Every other kid would be out chasing us, be happy in the grass, just hanging out with the trees, you know, loved climbing, anything like that. And it's what I see it as is an outward expression of extreme states of emotion. So common forms of it would be anxiety, if they're in pain physically, because you know, sometimes they might not be able to tell you, or they're like me and can't pick it up very well. I have a hyposensitivity to pain. Excitement too, if they get really excitement, that extreme state of emotion makes them really happy, and sometimes it's, you know, hard to come down from that. And my mum finds it difficult too, because what I tend to do is I have a manic laughter. So when I get really excited, I'll just start laughing. And my friends go, what are you doing? And I went, I'm just happy. Not always the case, and usually when my mum gets it at home, she goes, "Oh great, meltdown time." So